it is time for the Dubai World Cup, the last of this big race pseudo-trilogy that is the Pegasus World Cup, the Saudi Cup, and the Dubai World Cup. And in this race is that Pegasus World Cup winner that some people are really excited about, including me. I look forward to seeing him try this, as this will be his ultimate and probably final big test. Can he handle a mile and a quarter? Who am I talking about? Well, I'm kind of just jumping into it already. I'm talking about post position number 1, Life is Good. And to put it simply, he is the most talented horse in this field by a long margin, but the question is, can talent take you 2,000 meters across the made-on dirt? And honestly, other racing content creators have better explanations on why this may or may not be the case. If you want a better detailed explanation on why Life is Good could be a vulnerable favorite, I recommend you check out the video in the description by Jack Sargent from the Racing Rundown, as he does a way better job of talking about Life is Good's flaws than I ever could. So, check it out there if you want a more detailed explanation, but if you want the short and skippy of it, basically, Life is Good has never done a mile and a quarter before, and even at shorter distances, he tends to fade in the last quarter and even drift out, which might be a problem. But that's been talked about before. One small little piece of insight that I'd like to add is that in the history of the Dubai World Cup, all 25 winners of the race had at least one start at a mile and a quarter before trying the Dubai World Cup. So if Life is Good wins this, he will be the first horse to win the Dubai World Cup with no prior start at a mile and a quarter. Does that mean anything? I'm not so sure, but I think it's an interesting piece of history to keep in mind, and we'll see if Life is Good is up to the task of making his mile and a quarter debut a winning one in a race where that's never been done before. Next we have Aero Trem, who I dismissed in the Saudi Cup as just another South American horse who's way over his head, and I mean, I was kind of half right. He was 5th in the Saudi Cup, which isn't terrible, but it's not great either. It's better than what I expected, but still, objectively, it's not an amazing placing, so I'm just going to hold my judgment and just say that he's not really worth a lot. You might see him flying late, but if you want a horse to come flying late, there are a few better options to go with than him. But I mean, every horse in here, to a certain extent, is a viable option, so I don't know, do what you want. Hailing from Japan, we got Chuwa Wizard, who, I, no pun intended, chewed out a few times last year in the 2021 Saudi Cup and Dubai World Cup, and while I was right to dismiss him in the Saudi Cup, he proved me wrong in the Dubai World Cup, performing a surprisingly game second-place finish behind Mystic Guide. Now, a year later, he's still as good as ever, so I'd say he's a solid viable option. However, there might be a slight critique to say that this field is tougher than last year's, which might be something to be keeping in mind. If there's one horse that I would just flat out say has almost no reason to be in here or no viable options to be played with, it's Grocer Jack because, well, he has almost no dirt experience. His last couple of performances have just been bad, like a 5th in the Neum Turf Cup. He's just a toss. He's just a turf horse. Hasn't proven anything. Next, we have Country Grammar, who proved to be a surprise contender in the Saudi Cup. As you saw in the previous racing analysis, I completely threw him out because of the layoff. However, despite such a long break, he came back and was only half a length away from winning the richest race in the world. Not a bad performance, to say the least. And with his other start before that being a Grade 1 win at a mile and a quarter, he's a perfect option for anyone who wants to bet on a talented horse from America that isn't named Life is Good. If you want a more subversive option, go with Country Grammar. And in some ways, he might be an even safer bet, already proven at a mile and a quarter, and proven to also have incredibly high amounts of guts. And then we sink right down below again with Real World, a horse that I completely threw out in the 2022 Saudi Cup last episode, and well, he proved me right. He was 11th. Nothing's changed. He's a real bummer. Toss. But Hot Rod Charlie ain't no bummer in my opinion. His most recent start was a victory in the El Maktoum Challenge Round 2, proving that he is battle-tested at Maidan, but that wasn't exactly going to be a deal-breaker if he hadn't already done that. He had already proven as a 3-year-old that he could run plenty of times and always showing the money, although he does have a reputation of being a bit of a bridesmaid. But he can win. He won the Louisiana Derby, he won the El Maktoum, He just needs to get another major Grade 1 under his belt that isn't the Pennsylvania Derby or a disqualification like the Haskell Invitational, and I think this could be it. He definitely has enough guts to be in the running for this race, which is rather important because quite a few horses in here I'm going to be describing as gutsy fighters. And Hot Rod Charlie is at the very top of that list. Even in the Almac Tomb Challenge, he fought all the way down the stretch and opened up multiple lengths, which I think is a sign that maybe he's maturing a bit from his bridesmaid 3-year-old season and might be even better than before. So I'm going to take my shot with this guy. And another horse that competed alongside Hot Rod Charlie and usually was riding on his coattails, Midnight Bourbon. Midnight Bourbon, I did say, was always a hard knocker, but not necessarily a winner in the Saudi Cup, and I think that still remains the same, and he played his role very well in the Saudi Cup, finishing a gallant third, and I think that means that he's a nice, easy place or show bet. And I think this time I'll use him. Get the 2 American bridesmaids right up there, where they belong. The big race besides the Saudi Cup that I think also proves that he will be a great money shot is the Travers Stakes, which was his last attempt at a 1.25 miles. He fought essential quality down to the bitter end, all down that Saratoga home stretch, so distance is not going to be an issue, and he still will have plenty of gameness left in him. But in slight subversion to the finishing in the money type horse, we have Magny Cours, who will be coming home late. In last year's Dubai World Cup, he flew from the back of the pack to sneak up a 3rd place finish, and Life is Good's fast pace is going to guarantee that Magny Cours will have something to close into. And with at least 6 attempts at a 1.25 miles over his career, he has never failed to finish worse than 3rd, so he's a safe bet if you want someone to pick up the pieces at a 1.25 miles at Maidan. Our penultimate horse today is post position number 10, Hypothetical, who most recently, for the 2nd year in a row, has run in the Almac Tomb Challenge Round 3 en route to the Dubai World Cup. However, this time, he won it nearly gate to wire, which is pretty snazzy and shows that Life is Good is going to have at least some challenge on the lead. However, I think that might be Hypothetical's biggest flaw, and the one reason I might avoid him, because Life is Good is going to be doing his niche a lot better, and Hypothetical is just as dependent on the lead as Life is Good is, and let's be honest here, Hypothetical is not going to catch this guy. So I think Hypothetical is going to be kind of Nick's goad in this situation, just like in the Pegasus, where he's going to be taken out of his element, and Hypothetical I just don't think is as talented as Nick's go, so that doesn't exactly seem very favorable in my opinion, but there are definitely plenty of, no pun intended, hypothetical situations where he could pull off an upset, so don't let me stop you. And then last but certainly not least is the horse that came second behind Hypothetical in the Almac Tomb Challenge Round 3. And my weird pick. A little horse named Remorse. And yes, the rhyme was most definitely intended. Remorse is probably going to be one of the long shots that's not going to get nearly as much attention, but I feel like he deserves a shot here, so I'm going to give him it, because in my honest opinion, there are a million different ways to play this race. There are at least 7 horses in here that I could just name off the top of my head that you could use down under in junction with the big favorites like Life is Good and Hot Rod Charlie, so you know what, why not try one of the lesser appreciated long shots here in Remorse, who is a local Dubai horse who has raced at least 13 times and has finished second in an incredible 8 of them, which is something not to be scoffed at, and with Emblem Road proving that local champions can win in Middle Eastern Group 1 races, why not give this a try? Why not see if this horse, who has been the master of coming in second in Dubai races, including at a 1.25 miles at the highest level, can do it again? I think I'll take my chances. There are so many different ways that I could have tried and played this race. I could think of at least 3 different 3-horse combinations that I could see as quite perfectly reasonable, but I'm going to go with this one, because I've seen the other combinations that I wanted to use already chosen by other horse racing content creators, so I might as well try something unique, and besides, I got nothing else to lose here. I haven't really picked a race in a while. So, here we go. Hot Rod Charlie up in front for first, and then down below, I'll have Remorse and Midnight Bourbon. Wish me luck, and I wish you guys luck in the Dubai World Cup. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down your picks for this year's Dubai World Cup, and see you guys next time.